Okay. So today we are going to begin the fourth chapter on Madhurya Kādambini. Madhurya Kādambini has 8 chapters and we are halfway through it. We are on the 4th chapter. So in the last chapter, just to give a recap, we looked at how to remove the anarthas, especially in the form of the offenses, how we can remove the offenses to the holy name. So in that way, we can chant the Shuddha Nama, and because of which we will attain steadiness in bhakti. So this chapter is going to talk about steadiness in bhakti, that is called Niṣṭha. Atha Purvam ya Niṣṭhita Niṣṭha iti dvidha ukta bhajana kriya tasyaha prathama shadvidha lakshita. So previously, Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says that in the previous chapters he has discussed about Niṣṭhita Bhakti. So the bhakti has two part. The Bhajana Kriya has two part: Niṣṭhita Bhajana Kriya and Niṣṭhita Bhajana Kriya. So Niṣṭhita Bhajana Kriya is unsteady bhakti. So unsteady bhakti previously we discussed in second chapter, and it is of 6 types. Anyone remembers what are all the 6 types of Niṣṭhita Bhakti? Okay, I will write down. Vishaya Sangara, Ghana Tarala, Vyuda Vikalpa, Utsahamayi, Tarangarangini, Ghana Tarala, Vishaya Sangara, Vyuda Vikalpa, Utsahamayi, Tarangarangini. There is one more. Let's look it up. Niyamakshama. So these are the 6 types of Niṣṭhita Bhakti. So in the Vishaya Sangara, we'll have problem in dealing with the attraction to the material world. Basically, we are having a war with the material attraction when we are performing bhakti. We get unsteadiness in bhakti because we have a lot of attachment to material enjoyment. That is the Vishaya Sangara. Ghana Tarala is when we are doing the bhakti, bhajana kriya, basically we will be sometimes do it very nicely, and sometimes we won't do it nicely. So that is Ghana. Ghana means thickness, Tarala means dilute. Sometimes very nicely, sometimes we don't do nicely. Vyudha Vikalpa. While doing this, bhajana kriya will have a lot of questions. Should I do this way? Should I do that way? Should I become a brahmachari or should I become a grihastha? Should I take sannyas or should I just live in grihastha life and continue? There are so many options. Should I chant or should I do book distribution or should I do this, do that? All these kind of confusions will come. That is the Vyudha Vikalpa. Utsahamayi. In the beginning, we'll be very enthusiastic. A lot of enthusiasm will be there. We'll perform bhajana kriya, and after some time, we don't have that much enthusiasm. So over enthusiasm, overconfidence. Tarangarangini. So enjoying the waves. When we are performing bhajana, a lot of people will come and give us respect. That is natural for bhakti, because bhakti gives, wherever bhakti is there, other opulences will naturally follow. And we get attached to those opulences. If somebody gives us respect, then we get attached to getting respect. Puja, labha, pratishta, all these things we will get attached to. And the niyama akshama, yeah. So niyama akshama is very similar to Vishaya Sangara, in that sense that basically whatever we take a vow, basically. So in front of the Lord, we may say that, I'm going to, from this day onwards, chant 16 rounds. And they're not able to maintain that vow. Or I may take a vow on Ekadashi, I will chant 25 rounds every Ekadashi. And then after following for a year, after that, we are not able to continue. Or from today onwards, I will attend Mangala Arati. And after that, I'm not able to continue. So this is Niyama Akshama, not able to maintain the vows. These are the 6 types of Niṣṭhita Bhakti. ततः द्वितीयाम् अलक्षिता एव अनर्थ निवृत्तिः प्रकान्ता यदुक्तम्. So, but after discussing Niṣṭhita Bhakti in chapter 2, in chapter 3, we should have discussed about Niṣṭhita Bhakti, steady Bhakti. But instead, we discussed about Anartha Nivritti. All right. So why is that? Here is the verse Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is quoting. Shinvatam swakatah Krishna punya sravana kirtanah hridiyantastho hi abhadrani vidunoti subhritsatam. Nashta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavatyuttama shloke bhakti bhavati naishtiki. The meaning is Krishna is a punya shravana kirtana. That means he is glorified by auspicious words, or just hearing about or glorifying about Krishna will give us a lot of spiritual shukruti. That's why it's called a punya shravana kirtana. Swakata shinvatam hridi antastahi abhadrani vidunoti subhrutsatam. So he goes and sits into the heart of people who are hearing about his pastimes. And then he destroys all the anarthas within the heart. Then nashta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhakti bhavati naishtiki. So when most of the abhadras or the offense or the anarthas are destroyed because of continuous seva to the devotees as well as Bhagavatam, what happens? Into the Lord, you are going to get Naishtiki Bhakti, that is Niṣṭha Bhakti, right? So if you look at it, here what happens first? First, we are performing Shinvata, which means we are hearing about the Lord, we are performing Bhakti. And then Krishna enters into our heart. Then he destroys all the anarthas, and then we attain Niṣṭha Bhakti. So first there is Anushthita Bhajana Kriya, unsteady Bhakti. Then Krishna enters our heart, he destroys all the anarthas. This is the Anartha Nivritti process. Then we get Niṣṭha Bhakti, steady Bhakti. So because this verse gradually says that, so Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also in the 2nd chapter discussed about Anishtita Bhakti. 3rd chapter discussed about Anartha Nivritti. And in the 4th chapter, he is now discussing about Niṣṭha Bhakti. Tatra Shinvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Iti Anishtita Eva Bhakti Avagamyate Naishtiki Iti Agre Vakshamanatvat Abhadrani Vidunodi Iti Tayoho Madhye Eva Anarthanam Nivritti Yukta Nashtaprayesha Abhadreshu Ityatra Tesham Kashna Bhagaga Na Api Nivartate Api Suchita Iti. So here in the first 2 sentences we already discussed. In the 3rd sentence, he says, this verse says Nashta Prayeshu. So Praya means generally or overall. So in general, all the abhadras or the anarthas are destroyed. That means there is still some anarthas going to remain. That is what this is saying. So it is not going to completely remove all the anarthas in the stage of Niṣṭha, but overall, maximum amount of anarthas are destroyed. अतएव क्रमप्राप्ततया निष्ठिता भक्ति इदानीं विव्रियते. So following this verse order, he is also describing Niṣṭha Bhakti here. Niṣṭha naischalya utpanna yasya iti Niṣṭha. So what is the definition of Niṣṭha? Naischalya, that is steadiness. When the steadiness arises in bhakti, that bhakti is called Niṣṭha. So what does steadiness mean? We need to define that as well. Naischalyam bhaktehe pratyaham vidhitsitam api anartha dashayam laya vikshepa apratipatti kashaya rasasvadanam panchanam antariyanam durvaratvat na siddham asid. So when we are performing bhakti in Anishtita, unsteady stage, even though our intention is to aim for Niṣṭha stage, but while we are destroying the anarthas in the anartha nivritti stage, we will be disturbed by 5 types of obstacles. Let me write it. Laya, that's the first one. We'll see what are all these things soon. But there are 5 types of obstacles. Vikshepa, apratipatti, kashaya, rasa, asvadana. So these 5 types of obstacles are going to disturb us. Anartha nivritti anantaram tesham tadiyanam nivritta prayatvat naischalyam sampatye iti laya adi abhavaha eva Niṣṭha lingam. So when the anartha nivritti happens, all these 5 obstacles will be gone. And when you don't see these 5 obstacles in your bhakti, then that bhakti is said to be Niṣṭha. So now he is going to describe what are all these things. What does laya mean? Tatra layaha kirtana shravana smaraneshu uttareshu adikyena nidra udgamaha. So when kirtana is going on, or lecture is going on, shravana, or when we are meditating on the Lord, what happens? Nidra, sleep comes. Sleep during hearing, chanting, hearing, and remembering or meditation. So when we are chanting in the morning, we fall asleep. That's laya. When we are hearing a lecture, we get so bored and then we fall asleep. And then when we are meditating, we'll just fall asleep and sleep, right? So he says, this is an increasing order. That means, chanting, you may not so much fall asleep, but in hearing, you will fall asleep more. And in meditation, further, higher, you will fall asleep. That is an obstacle. That is a part of Niṣṭhita Bhakti. Of course, if you have not slept properly previous night or, for a couple of nights, then it is natural that you will fall asleep. But even after having enough sleep, when we are doing chanting or when we are hearing the lecture or when we are meditating, if we fall asleep, then that is part of Anishtita Bhakti, unsteady Bhakti. Why? We don't have taste for it. When we are chanting, we don't have taste, so we fall asleep. Or we are hearing, we don't appreciate Krishna's pastimes or glories or whatever, then we fall asleep. Same with the meditation. While we are meditating on the form, the sleep overcomes without our knowledge. This is laya. Vikshepaha teshu vyavaharika varta samparkaha. So vikshepa means mixing up or projection. So when you are discussing spiritual matter with other devotees, we immediately bring up something material and then we mix up. When we are discussing about Krishna Katha, especially after we get prasadam, we sit in a circle and then we start discussing about Krishna Katha. Immediately we start discussing about stock market or what happens in Twitter or what happens in something other than cricket, for example. So we mix up all this spiritual matter material matter into the spiritual matter, or projecting our own ideas of matter into spirit. For example, Radha and Krishna are in love with each other. So we understand how the boys and girls love in this world, and then we project that into Krishna and Radha. Oh, here boy and girl, they love each other and they fight with each other. So when Krishna and Radha fights, we think it is like a same fight only. They hate each other at that point, and same thing with here when a girl is in love with a boy, she doesn't like other girls loving the same boy. So we project that idea into Radharani also. So she may not like other Sakhis loving Krishna or something like that. All these things are material matter we are projecting into the spiritual matter, mixing up our material ideas. That is vikshapa. Apratipattihi kadachit laya vikshepayoho abhave kirtanarthi asamarthyam. So apratipatti means when there is no sleep, we are not overcome by sleep when you are chanting, hearing, or meditating. And we are not mixing up material matter into spiritual matter. Even then, we don't have any desire to chant, any desire to hear. We have slept nicely the previous day, so there is no sleep. But still then, we are not liking to chant. We are not liking to hear. We are not liking to meditate. I would rather work on my office work, or I would sit and watch TV, some drama, or I would do something else instead of hearing, chanting, or meditating. So this is apratipatti, basically. This is also lack of taste. Kashaya, krodha, lobha, garbha, adi samskaraha. So this is very simple. Basically, we have anger and greed, pride, etc. At a slight provocation, we become very angry. Something the life partner says, immediately one fraction of a second, we get anger. And that is the previous samskara. Greed, we have so much greed for somebody else's wealth or some possess money, whatever. Pride, little learning can also, make you pride. Or I distributed so many books, I'm very proud of myself. Or I converted so many devotees, I become proud of myself. All these things are kashaya, obstacle to Niṣṭhita Bhakti. Rasa asvada vishaya sukha udaya kale kirtanadishu manaha abhiniveshaha iti. Anabhiniveshaha. Okay. So when material enjoyment comes into picture, we forget about bhakti completely. And we have nice food items to eat. We don't care about thinking about Krishna or doing bhakti or anything like that. Stop the chanting in between, go on to eat prasadam, and then come back. Because there is very nice items are cooked. Or there's a cricket match. Forget about going to Sunday program. Let me sit and watch the cricket match. Or there's a nice movie released. Forget about everything else. I'm going to watch that movie. This is rasa asvata, taste for material enjoyment stops bhakti, of course, temporarily. So when these 5 things are absent, then you have achieved Niṣṭhita Bhakti. So this is the definition of Niṣṭhita Bhakti. Bhaktir bhavati naishthiki tadarajastamo bhava kamalo bhadayaschaye chetayete ranavidham stitam sattve prasidhati. Ityatra chakarasya samuchaya artatvad rajotamaha bhavaha eva labhyante kimcha एते ह्यनाविदम युक्ते भाव पर्यंतम तेषाम स्थितिः अपि अस्ति भक्ति अबाधकतया एव. So here it says after Niṣṭhita Bhakti, what happens? This verse says rajas, tamas, and kama, lobha, all these things are not going to affect your heart. At that point, the heart or chitta, the mind, you have here. So that is going to situate in sattva, suddha sattva, the spiritual matter. So here he says, Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur, though we saw in the Niṣṭha stage itself, this kama, lobha, everything will get cleared. Most of the things. This chetaha sattve prasidati, it happens in the bhava stage. So you have Niṣṭha, then you have ruchi, asakti, and bhava. So until bhava, there is going to some anarthas are going to remain even after Niṣṭha stage also. But those anarthas are bhakti abhadaka. It's not going to disturb your bhakti. So here we saw that how these 5 things are disturbing our bhakti in the Anishtita stage. But in the Niṣṭha stage, even though it may be there in small amount within the heart, it may not disturb the bhakti. There is a new movie released. It is not going to affect my bhakti. I'm not going to watch that. Or there is, though there may be little attraction in the heart, little, very little. There may be sleep during chanting, but it's not going to affect my chanting, hearing, or meditation, anything. So all these things won't affect, even though there may be little amount, very little in your heart. So that's what he says, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And this statement is about Sanskrit grammar, so we can skip it. So I see, yeah, there is a question. I'll stop here before taking question. Yeah, yes, Radharanjan Prabhu, please ask your question.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you very much for explaining all these topics, Prabhu. These are really wonderful topics. So just a thought I had when you were explaining about Vikshepa. So this is not mixing up material matters or material stories with spiritual activities of Lord Shri Krishna or any spiritual matters for that matter. But sometimes, or when there is when we are discussing something, the material examples help understand the subject matter better because they are tangible and they are understandable for general audience. And even when they try to relate it, then it is sometimes helpful to give some practical experience examples, which we have examples looking around in just like when Lord Shri Krishna is explaining in Vibhuti Yoga, he gives that, oh, I am in Himalaya in the mountains or something. Those are kind of, so how is that correct understanding? How do we deal with that?
Yeah, very nice point. So it doesn't mean that Vikshepa doesn't mean that we don't use any material example. We only talk about what is happening in the spiritual world. Prabhupada himself uses many times when he discusses about Atma, how this not Atma, the Bhagavan, how this whole material world requires a person behind it. He gives the example of the car. So the car mechanic, he knows the car in and out, and you need that person to assemble the car. And after that, you need a driver to drive the car. So similarly, the whole material world is assembled by the Lord, and then the driver, the soul, is driving this body. So he gives this example. So the point here about Vikshepa mixing up is our desire. For example, when you are talking about car, Now I talked about car. And then now instead of further continuing the spiritual topic, if I talk about, I read about this new news article. There is a new AI car or something is, coming up, let's discuss about that. The discussion moves on into fully into car instead of continuing the material topic. Or we give an example of cricket, and then slowly from there, we jump into cricket and we discuss about who scored what and what country are, fighting with each other. We continue that topic into that, realm. Though we may not do these things while giving lecture, but in regular discussion, that very much can happen. So that is what is mixing up here.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. That's a very nice point. Yeah. So what I understand is keeping the main point. Yeah. Not divergent on material. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Okay. There is no other question. I would like to complete this. Only 2 paragraphs. Sacha Niṣṭha Sakshat Bhakti Vartini Tad Anukula Vastu Vartini Dvida. So this Niṣṭha Bhakti is also of 2 types. Bhakti Vartini, that which is directly the Bhakti process itself. And there is Tad Anukula Vastu Vartini, that which is favorable for Bhakti. So it attains steadiness directly in Bhakti, which is chanting, hearing, and meditation, and so on. And you attain steadiness in qualities that are favorable for Bhakti. So he's going to describe what are those. Tatra Shakshat Bhakti Ananta Prakarapi Sthulataya Trivivida. So first Bhakti itself he is describing. That is, let's see, Shakshat Bhakti. And then you have Tadanukula Vastu. So these are favorable. And this is directly Bhakti. So here again, there are 3 types. One is using your body, words, mind. Okay. So you can attain steadiness in, if you're doing some physical services, you do it very nicely. And you are doing services with words, you do it in a steady manner. And you are doing service to the Lord with your mind, meditating and so on. You do it that well as, with a steadiness in Bhakti. Tatra pratamam kaigaha tataka vachikaha tataka eva manasyaha bhaktehe nishtha sambhavet iti kechit. So some people say that first you attain steadiness in body, and then steadiness in words, and then steadiness in mind, while performing Bhakti. Some people say this is the order. Bhaktesha taratamyena sthitanam api saha oja balana madhye kvachana bhakta vilakshana tadrisha samskara vashat kasyachiteva bhagavat unmukatva adikyam syat iti na ayam kramaha iti anye. Some other people say, no, that is not the case. Why? Because of the samskara of devotees, some people will have very strong body. They are very active within their body. So they will be able to do physical services very nicely, but words and mind, they may struggle. And some people have good oratory skills, so they will do nicely with the service using the words, but they will be very weak in body and mind. And some people will have very good mind. They can sit and meditate on the Supreme Lord for hours, but they will be very weak in body and words because of the previous samskaras they have acquired. So they may be steady in one thing and then they can engage that nicely in Bhakti. So because of that, there is 2 opinions. The other people say, no, this is not the order, but some people say this is the order. Whatever. It is acceptable for you, you can take it. Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur quotes both. Tad anukula vastuni amanitva manadatva maitri dayadini. So here, amanitva, giving respect, not expecting respect from others, giving respect to everyone, and then maitri, friendship with everyone. Yes, Prabhuji. Please feel free to drop. I'm going to complete this paragraph and we'll stop it here. and mercy, etc. So these are the qualities. Amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself says that. So these qualities are favorable for bhakti. So when you attain the stage of Niṣṭha, you may attain steadiness in these things as well. Consistently giving respect to everyone and not expecting respect from others, friendship with everyone, giving mercy to others, so on. Tesham Niṣṭha cha kutrachana shama prakrutau bhakte bhaktehe anishtitatve drishyate kutrachana. So he says, but in some devotees who have very much self-control, but they don't have so much attraction for bhakti, and they don't have, they haven't developed Niṣṭha Bhakti, you may see these qualities, even though they are in Anishtita stage only. They will give very nicely respect to others. They won't expect respect from others. They'll be friends with everyone, and they'll give mercy to others. All these qualities you will see, but they may not be in Niṣṭha Bhakti. Why? Because they have nice self-control. They may be in Sattva-gun. So it may be a Sattva-gun rather than spiritual qualities. And then kutrachana tasmin udate bhakte nishtitatve api drishyate na drishyate. So in some devotees, though they may have attained Niṣṭha stage, you may not see this qualities so explicitly as well. So we should not confuse. Just based on these qualities, I'll identify who is having Niṣṭha Bhakti and who is not having Niṣṭha Bhakti. No, we cannot come to that conclusion. That's what Vishwanath Chakravarti is saying. Yadyapi tadapi bhakti nishtha eva swa sattva asattva tan nishtha sattva asattve sudhiyam avagamyati na tu bala pratitehe eva vastavi kartum shakya iti. So he says, then how do you identify a person who is in Niṣṭha stage? He says, you cannot. Bala pratiti. Those who are in the lower stages, they cannot identify who is in Niṣṭha stage. Only a person in Niṣṭha stage can identify who is in Niṣṭha stage, because he knows what is within him, what is not within him. And he would, using that, he will identify the other person as well who is in Niṣṭha stage. Bala pratiti, those who are like children, which means below Niṣṭha Bhakti, they cannot identify who is in Niṣṭha stage. That is why we cannot simply go on claiming everywhere, my guru is in Bhava stage, my guru is in Prema stage, and so on and so forth, because beyond our stage, we cannot say who is what. We can only look down and say, oh, this guy does not even have Shraddha, because we are doing Niṣṭhita Bhakti. Or if you are in Niṣṭha stage, you can say, oh, this guy is in Anishtita, and this guy is having Shraddha, and so on. But you cannot say who is in Bhava, Prema, and those things. We don't have that ability to see, because we are children. Yaduktam bhakti bhavati neshtiki tada rajastamo bhava kamalo bhadayaschaye chetayete ranavidham stitam sattve prasidati. He quotes the verse again. Shravana kirtanadishu yatnasya shaitilya prabalya eva dusyache sambhavanti neshtika anishtite bhakti pradarshyetam iti shanshepataha vivekaha. So in summary, he gives a summary again. So if one attains very intensity in Shravana and Kirtana and so on bhakti, then he is in Niṣṭha. If one does not have so much intensity, one has laxity, then he is in Anishtita stage. That is the summary. So this ends the 4th chapter, which describes about the stage of Niṣṭha. So we'll continue from 5th chapter next week. Thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you, Prabhu. This was really wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rajivan Prabhu. Really beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Govinda Premadaji, good to hear from you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much for sharing this nectar, Rajivan Prabhu. This is wonderful.